Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here on this Monday, this September 2020, Monday, September 28th. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, why should we trust NASA? How many times in the last 50 years or so, NASA's up to so much stuff, you know? Well, let's get the chart started. I'll show you something that they're up to. Okay, got the chart started right here. And let's take a look at this. Right, well, let me get the page here. NASA is doing this mission right now. They call it Double Asteroid Reduction Test, DART mission, right? They got this asteroid out there. It's big. It's really big. And the funny thing is its shape, again, like we had an asteroid come through the solar system a number of months ago that was a cylindrical shape, and it seemed to have its own propulsion system. And it moved through our solar system and then out the other side, and it was shaped. It was shaped like a long cylindrical tube, like with a pointed end on it. Shaped like a rocket, maybe? I don't know exactly, but it moved through our solar system and out the other side. I was very suspicious about that because it seems as though the object had its own propulsion system, but it was big. It was like the size of a giant building or something, like a skyscraper size, maybe bigger than the Empire State Building. And it moved through our solar system. Now, they got this double asteroid redirection test DART mission where they're going to go out and intercept this asteroid. It's just exactly like the movie Armageddon that had Bruce Willis in it. If you remember that movie from a few years ago. That's exactly what's happening. They're going to try to intercept this asteroid and blow up some sort of a thing and make it move from a different distance. I can only think of one of two things. They're not spending all that money to go out to this asteroid and on this mission. Well, let's read about it. The Double Asteroid Reduction Test DART mission is directed by NASA to the Applied Physics Laboratory with support from several NASA centers, including the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the Goddard Flight Space Center, the Johnson Space Center, the Glenn Research Center, and the Langley Research Center. They're all working together. It says DART is a planetary defense-driven test of technologies for preventing the impact of Earth by a hazardous asteroid. Well, they're going to go out and use this system, right, on this asteroid right here, 65803 Didymos. That's where they're going to use it, and they're going to spend, I can't tell you how much money they're going to spend on this. Something's up with this. I just don't know exactly what. They're going to try to budge some small 160-meter size moon. They're going to try to budge it, evidently, with this test or something. They're and the asteroid itself. This is a moon of the asteroid. They're up to something. I just don't know what it is. But this Didymos itself, they're showing a picture of it here, but it's actually, this center object, the big one, is actually shaped like a giant flying saucer. Now, I'm not kidding. I know that sounds bizarre. And in this photo, they try to make it look like a rock. But in truth, from pictures I've seen of it, it's shaped like a giant, I don't know, there's something up. And you notice it has a moon around it. They're going to try to smash into that moon or something. They're doing something with this. It's going to cost a tremendous amount of money in this the Earth Defense System, or DART mission, Double Asteroid Reduction Test, DART. And it's coming from this Planetary Defense Coordinated Office. Now, I just wanted to go on here and talk about this for a minute, because I don't know exactly what they're up to, but I suspect it's something to do with this. Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to really theorize about what it is. And they're very secretive, You know, NASA, what they're like. But they're not spending all this money for nothing. I know that. I can just smell something here, and I don't know what they're up to. Anyway, moving on. What else did I have here? Something. Oh, I was going to talk about this right here. Hunger is hitting really big time right now in Latin America. They got no meat, they got no milk, they got no bread. In all these countries down in here that are marked in dark blue, if we look at the map, then this indicates the percentage of the people in these countries who have no milk, no bread, no nothing, It's like 40% of the people in these countries here. In South America, some are worse, like it's not quite so bad down in Argentina, but some of these countries up in here, it's getting really bad in Brazil, you can see, and in Mexico. This is just beginning. It's going to begin in all these countries all over Earth. They're the first ones, and that's going to hit us. No meat, no milk, no bread, hunger crisis rocks Latin America. He couldn't feed his family. Matilda Alonso knew it was true, but he couldn't believe it. The pandemic had just hit Guatemala in full force, and Alonso, a 34-year-old construction worker, was suddenly jobless. He sat up alone late at night, his mind racing, and fought back tears. He had 6 mouths to feed, no income, no hope of receiving anything beyond the most meager of crisis support checks, some $130 from cash-strapped government. Today, Alonso said breakfast, lunch, and dinner all look about the same in his house. All they get is a tortilla with salt, maybe a tortilla with beans, maybe a bowl of rice and beans. We used to eat meat. Now there's no meat. We used to eat chickens. Now there's no chickens. We used to drink milk. Now there's no milk. Even bread, he says, is off of the menu. Tens of millions like Alonso. The pandemic has exposed just how fragile the economic status is worldwide. This is exploding, guys. This is exploding in force and magnitude around the world right now. And I'm going to tell you, everything in the world is starting to crumble. The whole system is starting to shudder and shake. And we're going into a second wave of this thing. Europe is getting really bad again, And I'll tell you guys what you need to do. You need to get, every time you go to the store, get a couple extra cans of beans or whatever, or get yourself a few cans of tuna or something like that, or grab a few extra bottles of water. If it's on sale, grab a flat of bottled water, and store it away for yourselves. This is coming. This is coming, guys. It's coming fast. And I mean, food prices might soar so high, and you all of a sudden you find yourself getting cut back on the amount of money that you're able to obtain to buy it with, and this is coming to us. I'm telling you guys. And we got winter coming. I mean, how effective, if they can't provide food, necessities to the people out there, how are they going to be able to provide heat and power to us too? We're going to be on our own trying to feed ourselves and trying to keep ourselves warm here, And these are things to think about. You might want to think about getting yourself some sort of a way of making heat for yourself. When winter hits really hard, because what if the power's out? What are you going to do? Have you got some nice warm blankets? Do you have yourself some maybe a little buddy heater, or maybe even as simple as having a few old pipes laying around in your house that you could put together and I mean, I'm just thinking off of my head, I mean, you gotta have something. You gotta have something, or you could freeze to death in your own home. This is a kind of insecurity that they've created in this system. I mean, I've been in situations before where I've done things that to provide heat for myself that are a little bit, how we say, not according to Hoyle, you know, with wood, burning wood, you know, to get heat. I've had to do that. But I don't recommend it to anybody to try to put together some old pipes and try to stick it out the window, you know, but I did it in order to keep my fingers from freezing. You know, I've been in a number of situations. I remember one time years and years ago, I had this orange colored car, and it not only didn't have a heater, but up underneath the dash and stuff, somebody had monkeyed with all of the, the blowers, like the ventilation system in the car. And they took the pipes off and everything up underneath the dash, and the air just rushed in from outside, you know. I remember making a trip one time, traveling in that car, and I happened to hit a cold pocket in the middle of the winter, you know, driving through, and it was about 1,000-mile stretch in this cold pocket. And I mean, it was one of the most bitter cold pockets of air you ever seen in your life. It was minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And I had to drive through it. And I was all bundled up inside that car. And I'm going to tell you what, I nearly froze. My feet, I had an awful lot of trouble trying to keep my feet from freezing. You know, I had to go into restaurants every 15 miles and head into the bathroom and try to put my feet underneath the sink and turn the hot water on to try to warm my feet up, you know. I had like 4 pairs of socks on, wool socks, wool boots with wood felt liners in them and everything, and I couldn't stay warm inside that car. The wind, another thing, it was difficult to drive the thing because I had to have an ice scraper just to see out, you know. Scrape the window and it would frost straight back up again. And I had, quite literally, a half an inch, by the time I get where I'm going, I would have like a half an inch ice on the dashboard, like where the ice had fell off the window, and when you scrape it, it makes like a snow, you know. And there was all this snow across the dashboard where I'd been scraping the window to try to keep the thing warm, you know. But that was a devil of a trip. Finally, I made it through that area, 1,000 miles long of minus 10, minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, you know. Finally, I made it through that cold pocket and got into warmer territory, you know, and everything. And then the car's starter quit. It wouldn't run. So I had to make sure I always parked it on top of a hill or whatever and get it rolling and then let the clutch out to get the thing started. So anyway, it was a difficult trip, you know, but as soon as I got where I was going, I replaced the starter. But it was a good old car. It was a lot better than the cars we have today, I'll tell you that much right now. Anyway, I don't know how I got into telling you guys about that story, but anyway, here's the silver price today. $23.14. It's up 25 cents on the day. Cryptocurrencies. Today, we're looking at 350.7 billion, 57.6% Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to tell you what, guys, cryptocurrency is starting to get up there again, starting to creep up. We're looking at almost $11,000 for Bitcoin, 10,904. Cryptocurrencies are creeping up. They're creeping up while we're not watching them, you know, but I think there's an explosion coming in the price of gold, silver. We're looking at a silver price $23.14 now. Silver's creeping up today, too. Yeah, it's jagged. It's up and down, but overall, it's been moving up today. $23.14. I think that anything that's out of the dollar is going to do tremendously well, but you got to give it a bit of time because the way things are moving, there's still an awful lot of trades going back into the dollar, and see, there's still quite a high demand for dollars out there. It could all end suddenly because the world economy's flatlining right now, and they're going to have to create so much new money to try to keep everything going and keep everything balanced, and they're still not going to be able to keep it balanced, but they're going to pump all that new money into the system very soon, and it's going to be the demise of the dollar ultimately. It's going to come at the expense of the dollar, you know. At the end game of all this, a hyperinflation is coming down the road. At the end game of all this, and I don't know how we're going to manage to get through that with a tremendous amount of pain, and that transition that's going to happen into some form of new currency. They're going to have to go into some sort of a transition, and this is going to be very turbulent. We're living in a crazyville now, you know. It's went that way starting this year, starting at the first of this year. We've went into crazyville. I had one of my viewers talk about it, and he said it's like an airplane that's gone into some sort of a tailspin, you know. And he said then on the way down, as you're flying, as you're in this tailspin, you're heading toward a crash, you hit a goose across your windshield. I mean, that's was a perfect description of what's happening right now. We're in a terrible mess. Okay, let's move on and take a look now today at the Dow. And the Dow is up 400 points. It's up 449 points on the terrible mess that's happening with all the businesses in America closing. I mean, you can go into a shopping mall almost anywhere. And if you still see a store open, you'll see maybe one person working in the entire store because they can't afford to hire more help than that. And that one person will be standing there with a mask on, maybe behind a counter trying to sell jewelry or something. And there's nobody in the store all day long. Now, how can they pay their wage for that one person even? How can the store afford to pay the wage for that one person? How can they afford to pay the rent on the building? How can they afford to keep the lights going? How can they afford to buy new inventory? It's all been cut off. They're just hoping. They're just clinging to staying in business and trying to stay alive until this thing ends, but there's no end in sight. There's no end in sight to this. Just think about that for a minute. All these businesses that are still open, they got no hope in heck because they're not making enough money to be profitable. They're just clinging to try to stay in business because it costs more to go out of business than it does to stay in business. So they're just trying to stay open. They're just trying to keep... Oh, my goodness. Crude oil, $40.43. Now, remember I told you, they're keeping it right on $40. They're controlling this price. So we're not going to see it rise too much above $40 and not too much below because some entity out there is controlling the price of crude oil. And they're doing a very good job of it. Dow Jones Industrial Average, $94.39%, you know, and we seen a little dip down earlier today, but now we're seeing it start to move back up again. It's just started to move back up in the past 15 minutes. But look at that, 94.40. There's all kinds of things that could happen that bring the financial system down. And one is if that dollar goes too high. If the dollar index goes too high, that could bring the system down. A number of things could bring the system down now. Interest rates go too low. If we go below the zero bound, all bets are off. The whole economy of the world could blow up if they go below the zero bound on interest rates, if they drop interest rates into the negative. We've never had the United States drop their interest rates into the negative. We've seen it happen in Europe and stuff, but that's not the world reserve currency. My personal opinion is they can't do that. It's going to blow the system up. It's just once they cross that zero bound and go into the negative, they've entered into Mars. It turns the financial system upside down, and the effect is monumental because it means you're going to get paid to borrow money. Okay, listen, guys. Thank you for listening to my show. I'm rambling on a bit late with this show. I generally don't take this much time to get the show done. But we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Give me a thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate those thumbs up to help support my channel. Bye-bye, guys, and have a nice day.